Steve Light from Leading Light TV, and my special guest today is Susan Cain. And Susan Cain has recently brought a book out called Quiet, The Power of Introverts. And the reason I wanted to interview you today, Susan, because I've experienced social anxiety myself, and I've never really delved into this introversion side. I've heard a lot about it, but I just wanted to, have a chat to see how, all this kind of stuff relates.
Absolutely.
So how are you doing? You having a good day today?
I am, thank you. Yeah. I actually just had the chance earlier today to speak to a group of kids and teachers at a local school, right near where I live. And we were just talking about their experience of introversion, and particularly in the classroom. They're at a school like so many that ask them to be participating all the time and grades them on class participation. So we were talking about all those issues.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that stuff when I was at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to start things off, you mentioned that, you preferred reading and stuff as a child and doing, spending time on your own. Were you ever called shy? Do people call you shy a lot?
When I was a child, yeah, no, they really did. It's funny, I remember not that long ago meeting at this point an old woman who I had known. She was kind of a friend of my family, and I guess I had run into her and known her when I was a kid, and I ran into her recently, and she said, "Oh, you were so shy when you were a child." So yeah, I definitely heard that kind of thing quite a bit. I always made friends easily because I've always connected easily with people, but in new situations, I always felt that sense of inhibition, and like I couldn't be myself until I had relaxed, and I knew I had to go through that period. That they call it slow to warm up, right? So I knew I had to go through that period of warm up before I could be myself. And then even as an adult, I don't know, like some of the situations that used to bother me really truly don't anymore. But at the same time, I think that if you're shy, it never really goes away, right? It's always a kind of part of you. So for me as an adult in particular with public speaking, shyness has been a huge thing that I really had to overcome, especially when I published my book and had to go out there talking about it. I really had to deal with my public speaking shyness in that realm.
Yeah, well, I can relate to that myself because, I was incredibly shy as a child, and when I went to college, I literally ran out of the class when we had to do presentations. Literally, sometimes I left my bag there that I was so nervous. But
I totally understand. When I was in college, I didn't sign up for classes where you had to do a presentation. Like I would find out in advance if you had to do it and then not sign up.
Yeah, and like nowadays, I still get the nerves, but then you accept that that's there. Before, I would judge that I felt nervous, that it was wrong.
Yes.
But now, if it does come up, it's like it's just nerves. It's not anything about my identity. I'm not. There's not anything wrong with me. That's what I grew up feeling, I guess. No. Hello. Oh, you're back. It totally crashed then.
Yeah, I lost you.
Hold on a second. Yeah, it seems to be all right now. I forgot what I was saying. Yeah,
you were saying that now you understand that it's not part of your identity, it's just nerves, and you can accept them before you're giving a speech.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, so you, in your adult life, you moved into corporate law, and, that kind of field is seemingly filled with extroverts. What was that like, being an introvert? Did you clash with anyone, or...?
Well, no, I mean, I would say, first of all, corporate law is actually not as extroverted as you would think. I expected it would be, but I don't know. I'd say at least half of my colleagues were introverts because, law attracts a lot of people who, they're book people, they're reading people, they sit and parse through problems, and, they see a situation and they say, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I don't know. There are a lot of introverts in it who do quite well at it. So first of all, that kind of went a long way. And I think also as I got older, I became more adept at handling the situations that were not so natural to me. It was still always hard, but I would do conference calls and go to meetings, and I could at least handle it, even though I think it was a strain, and it took a lot of energy to do it, but I could manage it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as you grow to sort of draw on the social skills, or like push yourself a little bit through those situations that feel so scary, so that you at least know that you can handle them, even if they're not your favorite thing.
Yeah, definitely. I felt a bit of resistance when I first started doing it, but then all that kind of stuff, like I'm sure, you did an amazing TED talk, and I would imagine that from my experience, as a child, you wouldn't think into the future that you'd be talking in front of all those people.
Oh my God, no. Yeah, and I want to say, first of all, thank you for the compliment about the talk, but I want to say for anybody who's listening, just to know, like, I really kind of suffered a lot before that talk. I really had to prepare a lot to be able to do something like that. It was not like it was easy for me. And I like to be honest about that, so that, because I think people usually are not, and you get the idea that all these people are out there just chatting away in public, and it's no problem for them. But I think it's a lot harder for many people than they let on.
Yeah, that's great that you were so honest. Like I run a public speaking group for people with shyness, social anxiety, whatever, and I'm just really honest and open with them, and I just relieve all the pressure from them, and it's just, we're all human, and we all feel nerves in different situations, and I think there's a nice level of humility when you're just being totally honest in yourself.
Absolutely, and I think it's so great that you're running that group for people. The thing that helped me the most was practicing public speaking over and over and over again in a group. First a group like yours, and then later in Toastmaster. But, the idea is that you have to practice in a really safe, supportive environment where it doesn't matter how nervous you seem, and you don't have to worry about it, and gradually you get accustomed to public speaking. And the group that I attended that was like yours, the teacher said at one point, he was like, there are only 6 people in the world who have really ever conquered their fears, and they all live in Tibet. So it's not going to be you. And so just accept that, and then move on, and live with the fear and keep going anyway. And I found that incredibly helpful.
Awesome, that's really cool. So I wanted to move on to the term social anxiety. There's so many different labels and stuff. What is your view on social anxiety disorder? Have you heard of it, first of all, and what do you think about it? Oh,
sure. I've definitely heard of it. And I don't know. I think of social anxiety disorder as being an extreme form of shyness, to the point where the shyness is really interfering with your life and your ability to be happy and fulfilled. I think of a moderate degree of shyness as being painful, but also a kind of positive thing. I think shy people are very often very gentle and very empathetic, and I think of shyness as a kind of civilizing force, because a shy person inherently, by definition, cares so much about other people and what they think that they're according enormous weight to their opinions. Social anxiety disorder, I think, is kind of beyond that, and it's to the point where the shyness is so crippling that you can't go on a date, you can't go on a job interview, you can't leave the house, these kinds of things. And I think, I think it's a tremendously painful thing that probably warrants, addressing through treatment, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy or something else. But I think anybody who has any shyness in them appreciate the pain of someone who is shy to that extreme a degree.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with that. What you just said is, what you just said basically was how I was before, and then I kind of, as a child, I was generally a shy child, and then it got worse as I got into my teenage years, and then I kind of worked through it. So, thank you.
Sure. I'm curious, how did you work through it? What did you do?
I just kept doing things I was terrified of. I went to a support group first of all for social anxiety, and then that took me 2 years to go along to it because I was too nervous to go. And then, have you heard of a guy called Paul McKenna at all?
No, I haven't. Who is he?
he's a hypnotherapist, and he's doing a lot of work in America at the moment for weight loss. I went on his training for a whole week, and there's 300 people there, so we had to work in groups all the time, really intensive, and I forced myself to go on stage twice, and I just did all the things I didn't want to do, and over a period of about 5 years I just kept doing things like that, and the turning point was when I set up an event for people with social anxiety, so they can come along and try different workshops out, and I managed to get 80 people to come to this event.
Wow.
80 shy people, and
wow.
different degrees, and I just had a massive belief in myself. I couldn't believe that I set up this event.
Wow.
And even when I say it now, it's like I still can't believe that I did it. And then that was a big turning point, and I thought, I really want to help more people, so I set up a regular group, and I felt that supporting other people helped me grow as well, and then, now I'm just in a really good place, and, want to expand what I'm doing, and I'm really happy in my own skin, and just, not trying to get somewhere. And I always imagined that if you wanted to be confident, you had to be extroverted, and I had a vision of confidence as talking all the time, being really loud and funny and blah blah blah, but I'm just myself and happy being myself now, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well. You're just exposing yourself as you are, with no pretense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I'm so struck by listening to your story is the incredible amount of courage that you demonstrated for those 5 years. I mean, it was basic. I don't think people realize it if they're not shy themselves, but you basically did the equivalent for 5 years of skydiving, or putting yourself in a cave with a dragon, with a fire-breathing dragon. That's what you did. Crazy amount of courage. So
thank you.
Yeah, it's true, and I think it's what shy people do all the time, when they show up at school or show up at work or whatever. But I don't know. I mention it to you because I'm struck by it in your story, but also because I imagine it's true for the 80 and growing people who are coming to your events.
Yeah, well, I thank you for the compliment. I just felt that I had to do it, and the more I've worked with other people, I've seen 10 times, 100 times more courage than I had. It's just absolutely amazing how resilient some people are, and it just really inspires me. It is. Yeah, I guess it's like having a spider phobia and just jumping in a tank.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It really is.
Yeah. So just to finish off, because I know you need to go. What one piece of advice would you give to anyone who might be feeling introverted or shy or whatever? What would you say to them?
Oh gosh. Well, I would say to them kind of exactly what we've been saying, that if you're really facing extreme shyness, to go to a group of the kind that Steve is organizing. Some place where you can experiment with pushing yourself to do things that make you uncomfortable in a safe zone, where it doesn't matter how nervous you come across, how scared you come across as being, how much you might feel like you're screwing up, and eventually you become accustomed to doing these things. You'll start feeling like you're more and more successful at it, and astonishingly, the fear can really begin to melt. It probably won't go away completely, and it doesn't need to. It just needs to get to the point where you can get to a degree of comfort. So I really recommend. I can't enough recommend doing that. And then also to just redefine for yourself what it means to be a shy person. For me, one of the things that's been really helpful is to look at role models of people who I admire and who have done great things in the world who I admired, and to see how they did those things, some of them with quite shy and quiet temperament, and that they did what they did not in spite of their temperaments, but because of them. So somebody like a Gandhi, he was really shy. Like, he used to apparently run home from school every day as soon as school was over because he didn't want to have to talk to his classmates. And when he was first starting to get active politically, he never said a word. And he eventually was able to push himself forward in the service of these things that he cared about. But he said, even looking back at the end of his life, that he was still a shy person and that his shyness had been his strength and it had helped him kind of focus on what he really believed. So, that's one role model who inspires me. There's so many out there, and I think it's really useful to find one who can kind of be a sort of emotional talisman for you.
Wow, that's such an amazing ending to this interview. It's when you were talking about that, what came to my mind was, so many people I meet want to cure social anxiety, they want to cure their shyness or whatever, but it's not something to get rid of, is it? It's something to embrace and...
No, I don't... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's okay, carry on, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I do think that the extreme form of it, the extent to which the shyness is causing you pain in your life or preventing you from doing things you would want to be doing, whether you use the word cure or address or whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? I think that is worth actually facing head on. But the sort of essence of you that is innately shy, I think is a quite beautiful thing for many people. So that part I would hold on to.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate your time today.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. I'm so happy for what you're doing out in the world. I think you're doing very wonderful and courageous things. So thank you.
Thank you, likewise. Okay, I will hopefully speak to you again soon and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.